All right, let's do something a little different today. We're going to take one single, seemingly random date, February 18th, and just unpack the incredible mathematical history that's hiding inside it.
You know, we usually think of history in these huge, grand terms, right? Big eras, world-changing events. But what happens if you just zoom all the way in on a single 24-hour period? What kind of stories would you find? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today.
So picture this. It's February 18th, 1930. A young astronomer, Clyde Tombaugh, is at the Lowell Observatory, just painstakingly comparing these photographic plates. And then he sees it. A tiny little point of light that shifted. That was Pluto. A whole new world discovered on what, for pretty much everyone else, was just another Tuesday. But Pluto's discovery? That's just one piece of the puzzle. See, if we shift our focus from the telescope to the textbook, we find out that February 18th is a date that just echoes through the history of mathematics. So, let's start our journey back in time. Our journey kicks off in a world without calculators, without computers, a time when the very language of math was still being written. We're heading back, way back, to the Islamic Golden Age and the Renaissance, where we're going to meet two absolute pioneers who, get this, are connected by this one surprising date.
So on this one single day, you have the births of two monumental figures from totally different worlds. In 13th century Persia, you've got Al-Tusi, the guy who basically gave us trigonometry as its own thing, the very math that lets us, navigate the seas and map the stars. Then flash forward a couple of centuries to Renaissance Italy, and you've got Alberti, who used the hardcore principles of geometry to completely revolutionize art, creating that illusion of 3D space on a flat canvas.
And you have to understand, for Alberti, this wasn't just some academic thing. This quote, it shows you his deep personal passion. For him, math was the key to unlocking everything, whether he was designing a massive cathedral, writing a play, or even creating secret codes. And he was apparently quite the showman. He actually claimed he could jump over a standing man with his feet bound together. I just love that. It's this wonderful little detail that reminds us these giants of intellect were also real people. Passionate, brilliant, and maybe just a little bit boastful. All right, from the Renaissance, let's leap forward to the 19th century. This was a period of just explosive growth in mathematical thought. And for this era, February 18th takes on a more somber but just as significant meaning. So check this out. This timeline shows a really startling coincidence, like a twist of fate that connects two of the century's greatest mathematical minds. You've got Jacobi and Sophus Lie, both born in the 1800s. And they would also both pass away on the very same calendar day, February 18th.
Jacobi was an absolute titan. I mean, his research was foundational for things like elliptic functions and partial differential equations. But maybe his greatest legacy was as a teacher. He was so inspiring that his students actually formed what became known as the Jacobi School, a whole generation of thinkers who carried his ideas all across Europe, literally shaping the future of math.
And this quote, this gives you a little window into his soul. For Jacobi, the whole point of mathematics wasn't to create complexity. It was to uncover the simple, beautiful clarity of the universe. It's a philosophy of seeking elegant truth that still resonates so much today. Okay, so then, exactly 48 years to the day after Jacobi's death, Sophus Lie also dies. And Lie, whose work on Lie groups is fundamental to modern physics, has one of the all-time great mathematician stories. During the Franco-Prussian War, he was arrested in Paris as a German spy. Why? Because the police found his math notes, and they were so complex and weird-looking they just assumed they had to be secret codes. It literally took another famous mathematician to vouch for him and get him out of jail.
Our journey through February 18th now takes us into the world of statistics, a field that, let's be honest, can sometimes seem a little dry. But as we're about to find out, it's a world filled with fascinating characters and some pretty surprising stories about who gets the credit.
So first, a super important tool. If you've ever taken a stats class, you've definitely run into the student's t-distribution. It's absolutely critical for making sense of small sets of data, which makes it essential for everything from drug trials to making sure the stuff coming off an assembly line works right.
But here's the twist. History gives the credit to William Gossett, who published under the fake name Student. But the original discovery? It belongs to someone else entirely, Jacob Lüroth, who was born on, you guessed it, February 18th. He published the key ideas 32 years before Gossett, which makes him a true unsung hero of statistics.
And you can just forget that stereotype of the boring statistician.
George Udny Yule, another February 18th birthday, wrote a landmark textbook that taught generations of students. After he retired, he decided he wanted to learn to fly. The insurance companies all said, "Nope, you're too old." So what did he do? He just bought his own plane and got his pilot's license anyway. Now that is some serious dedication to problem solving.
Okay, so from the pioneers of the past and those titans of the 19th century, we now turn to the modern era. This is where the legacy of February 18th keeps unfolding, reaching all the way from the surface of the moon to the cutting edge of math today.
This one date connects us to the space race, all through the work of Walter McAfee, a brilliant African-American physicist who passed away on this day in 1995. His calculations were absolutely essential for Project Diana. That was the very first experiment to successfully bounce radar signals off the moon, which paved the way for all space communication. And that thread, it just keeps going, right? Right into the present with mathematicians like Joshua Leslie, also born February 18th, whose work in really abstract fields like topology is still pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Which brings us right back to where we started. After this whole journey through time, what really makes this single day so special? Is it just a bunch of cosmic coincidences?
No, it's so much more than that. February 18th is like this amazing cross-section of history. It shows you all these hidden threads connecting a Persian polymath, a Renaissance artist, a German teacher, a Norwegian revolutionary, and a moonshot scientist. It reminds us that progress isn't just one big event. It's a vast, continuous, and deeply human story, built one day at a time.
And that leaves us with one final thought. Every single day, including today, new chapters are being written. New discoveries are being made in labs and on blackboards all over the world. So the real question isn't just what happened on February 18th, it's what mathematical history is being made right now that future generations will look back on and celebrate.